Hey, how's it going guys? JC here. As many of you know, I make League of Legends content, but what you don't know is I've secretly been spending a large portion of my time playing classic World of Warcraft, specifically on Yojamba Alliance side under the name JC. So recently, I got back from a 9-day vacation trip from Bali on the 29th of September, and while I was back in Sydney, I began to feel really ill, as you guys can tell by my voice. Even as I'm recording this video right now, my voice is still recovering. I use this as an excuse for myself to postpone video making and to try my hand at getting the last few levels in order to finish off and reach level 60. The majority of my video will cover what I accomplished in the little time I had to play in the past week after my Bali trip. I do want to quickly mention that leveling solo as a warrior was not a fun experience. It definitely comes with a lot of downsides, such as nearly dying to every single monster you encounter. This is particularly true if you do not have any friends. So just like the lonely individual that I am, I quested completely solo and received no gold or help at all, contrary to what most content creators and streamers get to benefit from nowadays. Because I was an old school vanilla WoW player, I was quite prepared for what was to come. Whilst leveling to 60, I actively scouted potential raiding guilds. During this time, I began to notice a gradual transition. It started with just a couple of level 60 characters running around Ironforge not knowing what to do because high level groups were scarce. A couple of weeks later, those same players began to show up wearing epic gear and the tier 2 helmet from Onyxia, just running around the capital city having the time of their lives. Those early adopters of the epic gear were mainly from the guild called Happy Accidents. Knowing this will most likely be the best guild on the server in the foreseeable future, I knew it was a good idea to future-proof my progress by joining them. I spoke to several of their members in their guild and eventually secured a position, striking the iron while it's hot. The barrier to entry was actually very low. They only required me to show interest in raiding. The levels and gear was not an issue. They didn't even have to consider that. Once I got in, I started running BRD groups while questing in order to reach the level cap and prepare myself for Onyxia and Molten Core attunements, both of which I got done before hitting level 60, with the Onyxia questline attunement just being one UBRS run away from completion. Before then, I had also tanked a couple of high level dungeons, and I was proudly showing off my questionable paladin helmet as a token of clearing Skullomance this early on. I honestly felt on top of the world at this point. I cannot explain how satisfying these milestones felt each and every time I reached one. After spending weeks on end struggling through the pain of solo leveling as a warrior, I was ready to reap the benefits of all my hard work, and it was in the coming days I would make it all a reality. Through research, I gathered a list of the best in slot items to collect and began setting out to obtain each and every one of them. I was running dungeons after dungeons, and it was fairly easy to find groups as a warrior. Surprisingly, all I had to do was slap on a shield and offer to tank for any group, and I got in. The best part is, I stayed Fury Spec the entire time and there was no problems tanking any of the dungeons. Before half the week was up, I already acquired all the best pre-raid gear I can possibly attain from running dungeons. Along the way, I made a few friends, and I even got to the point where I had a few tanking sets that focused on hit chance and threat, a set for armor and mitigation, a fire resist set for Molten Core, and even a Fury DPS set. And then the stars aligned for me. During this time, my guild began setting up the second raid group for the newcomers. Well, their core raid group had already cleared all content, and they were looking to expand, so it was a really nice fresh start for everyone in raid, entering Molten Core for the first time in a decade. In short, within a week of reaching level 60, I showed up to my very first raid in Classic WoW, completely geared in pre-raid, best in slot items. I was easily one of the best geared players in our raid, and I even had the privilege of being assigned as the main tank. Our first raid went really smoothly. We downed 5 out of 10 Molten Core bosses with minimal wipes. It was during this raid that I received my very first piece of epic, a shield that went straight into my inventory without any competition. It's amazing to think that this kind of progress took me several months or even a year back in the day, but it doesn't stop here. During all these dungeon runs, I was able to amass enough gold to buy my epic mount. Riding around on this thing is like driving a Bugatti into Ironforge. Everyone will just remember you. I was over the moon, knowing what I did generally would take months for others around me to achieve. An epic mount in Classic WoW is a status symbol at this stage of the game. As a reference point, I reached level 60 with 300 gold. How did I make so much money? Well, simply, I was running a lot of dungeons and making use of my double gathering professions that got me just enough gold in that week. The moral of the story is, when you set your mind to something and are truly passionate about it, the results are incredible. This isn't the first time I accomplished something greater than I could possibly imagine. During Vanilla WoW, I was part of a guild that did most of Nax, and even cleared Sunwell when Burning Crusade came around, albeit it was a different guild, and server, and faction. I also achieved the Gladiator title back in Season 2 PvP Arena, and completed 400 LP Challenger in Season 8 League of Legends. Admittedly, I'm not the best player or even consider myself to be a great player. I just put in a crazy ton of hours and obsessively tried to learn and improve. So this is my story. I'm off to raid Onyxia tonight, and from here on out I'll try to attend raids twice a week with the guild. I hope that this will free up some time from playing every day so that I would actually turn my attention towards grinding out Challenger again on League of Legends. And on that note, I plan on making a return to League of Legends in order to complete my Iron to Diamond series and start creating content for you guys and this channel. Cheers.
Thank you. This gives us a little bit of an extra buffer, gets me over 7,000 HP.
Range just ease off and melee can go a bit more harder.
Yeah, range hard up against the wall if you can.
Which cracks. Back in. Bandage up if you can.
Oh my god. We got so much.
What?
We're still behind.
Let them come in to us, don't fight behind them, we get another cut.
Yeah, don't run down to the whelps, guys, because otherwise you're going to get... As soon as you finish being feared, guys, you got to get straight back to that position. Don't DPS, run back, and then...
Chance to get
how many was that? 4? Yeah, that's the thing, you shouldn't...
The boss is off.
Okay, JC, you're going to hold that? Heals on JC instead?
Run back.
No, sorry, it's on me. Ah, crap.
So I think all of us were fine there. Yeah, go hard on DPS, go hard now.
Yeah, I got a good, plenty of threat here. Apart from maybe JC. Oh, she can't anyway.
As well.
DPS go hard, nuke him down guys, nuke him down.
Can we get a
Big
win?
heals there. Big heals.
The boss.
Come on guys. Shit, get in front.
Hey, Bart, if you can you strafe to your left a bit? Just to turn it slightly so the group can move.
How's that? I got a little crack on you.
Don't change anything and just nuke it down.
Just keep hard.
Just keep him up, keep DPSing.
We're feared here.
Yeah. Back to positions.
Nuke boss, just keep going.
Stop wasting mana on other people and you heal
Yeah, just
bar.
get the tank.
You got
Just get the
7%,
tank.
guys.
Tank and healer can do this from now on, so just heal him.
You got fuel.
Just second too late.
Run back quick.
Okay, don't worry, I'll get it.
That's alright.
Keep move up a bit, get away from the tower, in between the legs, He's got heaps of aggro, just
Hopefully healers don't run out of mana.
I got plenty of fine. We have.
use all your cooldowns. Oh no, I'm right into the tower. Fuck.
Forest just
That's cage full DPS on it.
Okay, run back.
full DPS on only. You got
Just
one.
focus him. Leave the whelps, focus boss. Feared underneath him. Focus just, and then see it.
Don't you dare. Kill it.
Nice. Good job, guys. Fuck yeah. Oh.
Fire! I'll put it.
Oh my goodness. Do you watch
Put
it
it-
as well? Reset?
I wait for Wills to reset. I DI'd my phase.
Oh, good effort, everyone. We've done it. And on to MC for the easy stuff.
Oh, that 5
And we got
gold.
Sal's.
That's a lot of
I
gold.
think the gold. Yeah, I think the gold got split between people that.
Yeah,
were
boy,
already
I'll
against him.
take that.
It's
Nice.
pretty solid.
Yeah, I just got
I think
five
it
and a
was
half.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Cool. Okay, so I think obviously here the Helm of Wrath is going to go to JCM main tank. If Wuggy was here, he could have been in the running for it as well. So that's Helm of Wrath. Congratulations, JC. You get a huge boost from that 60 armor. It's pretty good.
So
Oh, I
basically,
didn't see that armor.
the mages that got loot last night in MC, you guys don't get to roll on this. Just to give out loot evenly. So